You had an unusual development here during the famine one time, yeah?
The unusual development. When he came, he set up the soup kitchens. Well, he's reputed to have set up the soup kitchens, but it was really the Quakers, or at the instigation of the Quakers. But he was very innovative insofar as he saw the need to create a way for the people to gain an income. And he was a fantastic organiser. Not very successful as a proselytizer, I'm afraid. The very, very few people actually jumped and stage jumped. He set up a lot of cottage industries. He was based in an area we now call the Colony in Dugort, and set up a church there and a printing works, and they printed a journal there for many years.
School,
and had a school and a little village hospital, and he was responsible for setting up the first hotels on the island.
And which hotel was that?
The Strand and
Strand.
the Schlievemore.
Yeah,
And the
Strand,
Schlievemore.
he brought in a family called the Sheridans, who were farming back up in Newport, and I think it was their mother who had some experience maybe of housekeeping or whatever, I'm not sure, and they brought them down to run the hotel, and then from that developed the Schlievemore, and so overall he did a huge amount of good on the island.
But because he was Church of Ireland, he was just...
Well, he set up the school. Of course, Achill had no school before Nangle came. So, to be fair to him, the only reason we have schools on the island now is because Archbishop McHale couldn't have this being seen to happen. So he set up was responsible for setting up the monastery in Bunnacurry. It's a Franciscan monastery. And education on the island started seriously then. But
How long was he here for?
he was here
Reverend Nangle, yeah?
for about 35 years.
Was he?
He was, yeah. At the outmost, because towards the end he came and went a bit.
Was he accepted to any great extent?
Oh, in his own, in Dugort, he set up, it was a thriving little, it was a completely different, it was so industrious and so proactive, and that's why my Aunt Eliza, set up the Amethyst Hotel. She said there's no way they're going to get away with having everything in Dugort. We must do something in Kiel. So that's how she set up the Amethyst Hotel. But it was a hive of activity, Dugort. And it was to Dugort that Henry came, Paul Henry first, but he didn't like it there. He came over, he preferred the light over this end. Well, I feel the same. Because my ancestors were actually in the Church of Ireland, that's where they lived.
St. Thomas.
St. Thomas's Church, their house was there, but because they wouldn't convert, they had to move over to Kiel. But I'm grateful for that.
You're here.
To be here.
No hard feelings.